I'm 29 and 35 weeks pregnant with our first child. My husband is 36 and was previously married. His first wife passed away 8 years ago. I've always been respectful of her memory. There are photos of her in our house, and we've talked about her openly. I've never tried to erase her or act like their history didn't exist. When we found out we were having a girl, we both made lists of names we liked. He didn't say anything at first, but after a few weeks he told me he really wanted to name her after his late wife. He said it would be a way to honor her and keep her memory alive through our daughter. I told him I wasn't comfortable with that. I said I wanted our daughter to have her own name, one that reflects both of us and the family we're building together, not something tied to a relationship I wasn't part of. He looked disappointed but said he understood. A few days later, he brought it up again. This time he had told his mom, and she messaged me saying how beautiful it would be and how I should consider it an act of love. Now his sister is involved too. She said it would mean so much to the whole family if we used the name. I still said no. I told him again that while I respect his grief, I don't want to feel like I'm raising someone else's legacy. I want this child to be celebrated for who she is, not tied to someone she never knew. He hasn't pushed again since, but he's been cold. Quiet. I know he's hurt. I do love him and I know he still carries that loss with him. But I also feel like I have the right to want my own first child to have her own identity. I'm not trying to erase anyone. I just want to be seen too. Now I'm getting messages from his family saying I'm being insecure and jealous of someone who isn't even here anymore. My own mom says she understands my side but wonders if this is the hill I want to die on. I feel like I'm already grieving the peace I thought this time would bring. And now I don't know if I'm holding my ground or being unfair. Comment 1. I suggest you find a family therapist to work this through with your husband. A child deserves their own name, not the name of his deceased previous wife. And you deserve respect and value in your own right. And I say all this as a widow. Comment 2. First names are a 2-yes requirement. If you don't like a name, no matter the reason, it's a no. But to add insult to injury, here you are forced into naming your child after another woman you never knew and everyone liked. You're the one birthing her. It's disrespectful to call her ex's name to thank you. It's even creepy, like you're some surrogate. And even for your daughter it's super creepy to be named after your father's first love, a woman you never knew. There's no need to keep her memory alive, it is, but as much as it needs to be, a quiet and calm morning which you can think about with internal peace. NTA, Story 2, not properly telling my acquaintance that the dish they ordered would be stinky. Recently I went out with a friend, A, and an acquaintance, A's friend who we'll call B, to eat Korean food. While my A and I are both Australians and B is from Ireland, I am half Korean ethnically, and a part of the reason why we were eating Korean was because my friend was curious and wanted me to give some recommendations for what he and B could try. Lol. I suppose that this was mentioned to be because while I was driving them to the restaurant he asked me when I had moved from Korea among other things, and when I explained to him that I grew up here and only had Korean heritage, he made a comment about how I wasn't really Korean then and asked if I even knew anything about Korea. Since I was focused on driving I just said something about how I'd grown up with the culture, but I didn't really focus on it at the time. Anyways, when we arrived at the restaurant and read the menu I tried my best to give them some pointers and explain some Korean cultural stuff as well, like why our chopsticks are metal, but eventually be settled on a dish called chungwang, which if you don't know is this soybean stew which is really stinky. Like, even my grandmother refuses to make it because she can't handle the stench. When I warned B that the smell might be too overpowering, he asked if I had even eaten the dish before. So I explained that although I hadn't eaten it personally, the stew was pretty notorious for its stench and that I wouldn't recommended it, especially for a Westerner like B. I guess the last part might have come off as pretentious, because B made a comment about how I should stop acting Korean and that he could handle it. I figured he wouldn't listen, so I was just like, don't say I didn't warn you, and shifted the conversation. Unsurprisingly, at least for me, He couldn't eat it at all and had to send it back and order something else. I won't lie, I was a bit amused, but I was also trying to avoid the stench lol, so I didn't say anything and tried to be polite for the rest of our meal. The mood was pretty much spoiled though, and when we finished he said that he wanted to take the bus with A instead of being driven home by me, and we parted ways. After I got back home, A told me that although B was a bit of an asshole, I should have been more assertive when explaining to B that he wouldn't like it, and that he might have thought I was egging him on. Also, apparently B is pissed off because he thinks that I was trying to bait him into eating chungwang and made him waste money edit, and that I was being petty after his comment about me not really being Korean. So should I have tried more harder to dissuade B from ordering the dish? Comment 1. NTA. You literally warned him twice and he acted like a smug jerk both times. Like, what were you supposed to do, wrestle the menu out of his hands? He already had a chip on his shoulder from the second he questioned your identity and clearly just didn't want to listen to someone he decided wasn't Korean enough. That's on him. Honestly, the audacity of trying to blame you for his fragile ego and bad decisions is kind of wild. He played the I know better game and lost. Not your fault. Comment 2. NTA. What is this, Year 10 lunchroom K-drama? Bloke ignored your warning, twice, just to play the big man, then kicked off when it blew up in his face. That's not baiting, that's just him not listening. Actions meet consequences. It's called accountability, not a stitch-up. Maybe next time he'll listen instead of flexing his ego over fermented stew. Story 3, asking my in-laws not to bring their dog to our house when they come into town. My husband, 33M, and I, 30F, had our first child a few years ago. His parents, who live several hours away, started coming to visit once every few months to see their grandchild. The first couple of times they came over, they would bring their dog with them, let's call him Rover. At first, this didn't bother me, but then I started noticing that Rover had some habits that I didn't resonate with. For example, he likes to lick people while everyone eats at the dinner table, and he rubs his erection on your feet, which my in-laws encourage by helping him out. Eventually, I decided to speak to my husband about how this bothers me, and he agreed we would bring it up to his parents. All four of us sat down and had a conversation about it, and they reluctantly agreed not to bring Rover to our house anymore. The next time they came over, I was on a business trip, so they immediately brought Rover with them. I then overheard them talking on the Ring doorbell about how they refuse to follow my house rules because they're stupid. I reached out to my husband to let him know this hurt my feelings. He encouraged me to speak to them about it directly. So I sat down with them and explained how that made me feel. They did not apologize, and simply stated that Rover is very sweet and I'm choosing a weird hill to die on. I ended up giving up because I felt so defeated. The next time they came to visit, Rover came along with them. I tried talking to my husband about it again, but he shut down and became defensive and told me I was being overly difficult about it, so I let it go. My in-laws are scheduled to come into town again this weekend, and when I asked about Rover, he confirmed they will be bringing him. I feel bothered by this and want to bring it up again, but I'm afraid he will just shut me down again. Comment 1. Your in-laws are major assholes. It's your house. You don't want their fucking dog in your house. Tell them no, and when they show up with the dog, do not let them in. When they threaten not to come over if they can't bring the dog, cheer loudly and say thank you. And your husband can go visit them at the corner cafe, without the dog, because cafes often don't allow dogs, either. NTA. BTW, your husband not backing you 100% is a massive whole move on his part. Comment 2. Parents coming to visit. Time to bring their grandchild on a visit to your relatives, or anywhere else. They will be rewarded for their behavior with not seeing their grandchild. Obey your rules, respect you see the grandchild. Not respecting you? Right before they come something popped up and you aren't home. NTA, Story 4, banning my dad's wife from mine and my kids' stuff. I 36F has been bullied by my dad's wife 50+ female that we will name Kayla since I was 5. For context, she has shown in her actions and words that I am just her husband's child. I was pretty much the house slave while my dad was out working. She never talked to me in the time I lived there, which was until I was 16, when my mom pretty much kidnapped me due to Kayla grabbing me, and after years of her bullying I honestly blacked out and defended myself. This resulted in me getting a whipping from my dad without getting my side. When I was around 6, I got a whipping by her for not tying my shoes the way she wanted me to, and for my closet not being color coordinated. There have been CPS cases from schools and churches. There have been multiple family members, her friends and pastors trying to mediate and see what her issue has been with me since 5 that have gone nowhere. When I had my children, she never spent time with them. When my dad and brother, her son with my dad, 26 male, would have them over for the weekends and summers, she would stay in her room or leave the house completely. At my son's birthday dinner, we started talking about my makeup I had for Christmas pics. She tells me it was too much, it doesn't look like me, and so on. My older sister defended me. After that, I sat down with them both and said I no longer wanted her at any event that had to do with me or my kids because I'm tired. Since that conversation, that was also in December 2024, I have not stepped foot in their home. Fast forward to yesterday, my oldest is graduating and going to the military. My dad, brother and I have been planning on doing a road trip due to my son's military graduation being out of state. Yesterday I brought up the road trip. My dad said, "Just so you know, Kayla will be coming." I reminded him that I didn't want her there. I don't want to be uncomfortable and it turning into something about her. She has made a scene at a few other family events. My dad said, "Forget I said anything then, but keep in mind that if she isn't invited to your stuff, then you can't be expected to be invited to her stuff." She has never invited me to anything, even threw my dad a birthday party and didn't invite me nor my sister, 41 female, we share the same mom. They have an annual block party he has thrown the last 2 years coming up. I told him I didn't plan on coming because I know that if I go to their house I know what to expect. He also stated it's uncomfortable when people ask where I'm at. I feel he should tell them the truth. My wife can't figure out how to not critique and criticize my daughter, so she isn't here. I have always been respectful to her. I try to hug and speak to her, but she is always dry. But when people are watching, she plays the doting stepmom. I'm sorry, I know this is all over the place. My husband and I are also at odds a little because he feels like I should ignore her because it's a public event. Comment 1. NTA. And please, stand your ground. If your dad brings her, you and your son leave. If your brother wants to join, let him. Don't allow your dad to sugarcoat things either. He condoned the way she treated you because, at the least, he did nothing to stop it. He's not much better than she is. Please, if you're not already in therapy, please go. If your ins doesn't cover it, don't let that stop you. Many therapists will work with you, and there are places/organizations that will help. Comment 2. NTA. What did your dad say when you reminded him that she doesn't invite you to anything already and that he himself didn't invite you to anything either? Also, have you brought up when she hit you or when he hit you without asking for your side first? How does he respond? I'm assuming there's a lot of deflecting. Extra, not skipping my stepson's graduation even though his mom is threatening to make a scene? I, 30F, have been married to my husband, 41M, for 5 years now. His son, 17, is graduating high school next month. I met him when he was 11. I've never tried to be his mom, and we took things slow, and over the years we've built a decent relationship. I help out where I can, mostly behind the scenes like rides, school stuff, dinner when he's over. He's casually called me his bonus mom a couple of times, which I took as a good sign. However, his mom, Jan, has never liked me. She's never been openly hostile but always cold and dismissive. I've never pushed her though. No drama, no trying to parent her kid, just try to be supportive when he's with us. Anyway, he told us he wants me at his graduation. He said it directly and saved me a ticket. A week later, My husband gets a call from the school, and apparently Jan emailed them and said only she and my husband would be attending and that I shouldn't be allowed because of family issues. We had no idea she did this. My husband called the school to clear it up, and when we asked her about it, she basically said I was overstepping and that graduation is for his real family. She told someone in the family that if I show up, she might leave or worse, not let her son attend. Her son still wants me there. He even told his dad, "Don't let her ruin it." My husband fully supports me going. But now a couple of his relatives are telling me I should just stay home to avoid drama. Guess who called them about it? I get it's a sensitive day, but I'm not there to make a statement. I just want to show up, support him, and leave quietly like everyone else.